Welcome to Next Level Direct, Episode 2. I'm one of your co-hosts, Andrew. I make the show Midori, and I'm joined tonight by the tech guru, Agent Vincent.
Hello.
And we have a very special guest, Jersey representative, Denny, filling in for Jersey Tom tonight.
Just Denny. Just Denny.
Just Denny? Okay,
Just
is that
Denny.
like your...
No special introduction, just Denny.
Denny, you're looking good, man. You're showing
Thank
off the
you.
guns.
Thank you.
Nobody
You guys
on
look
Discord
great.
can see that right now. You guys are going to have to wait for the YouTube archive. And I tell you, it's a treat. It's an absolute treat. Denny, thank you for filling in on short notice. Of course, Tom has betrayed us. And worst of all, it's for sports ball. Which is
He's
just
at the Giants game, and they lost, so, that's on him.
Hey, you know what? He deserves it.
Yeah, he does.
For bailing on us tonight. I'm just
He does.
messing with you. But we actually have a really good show tonight. We're going to be talking about PlayStation Showcase 2021. Of course, we'll be talking about that Rise of the Tomb Raider rumor, I guess we would say, about the $100 million deal that happened behind closed doors, and a few other things as well. I think the crux of the show is definitely going to be about PlayStation Showcase 2021. This show, Next Level Direct, is on the second Sunday of every month. This is our second episode, so we're still figuring this all out, but we hope you enjoy it, listeners. And to those listening on YouTube, in the archive, this happens at discord.gg/the Level Up Network. And of course, it's a stage channel show, which means that it's interactive. The listeners can raise their hand. They can call in old school Level Up show style. So if you are listening on YouTube, we strongly push you to join us on Discord, become a part of this community, be there for these live podcasts that we do. We'll also archive this on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Video version on YouTube, as I said. And before we get to it, also some quick plugs. I will be going live immediately after this. I'll be doing some more Mass Effect 2 tonight. But also, of course, follow Vince as well on his respective channel, Agent Vincent 4756 on Twitch. Let me get the... yeah, go ahead.
Is that okay, it does. Sweet. I forgot if we did that or not.
Forgot if we did what?
The commands in here in Discord.
I just fixed it.
There you go.
We're already improving. We're getting better month by
Ooh,
month
look at
on this
that.
whole thing. Yeah, look at us go. Look at us go, you guys. And I would plug Denny, but he doesn't have a Twitch channel. I don't think that he actually streams on, right? Right, Denny?
I streamed once.
What did you stream?
I very drunkenly after a Dean stream, I streamed Honey Pop, which is like a borderline like hentai game on Steam
That sounds about right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
That
I
sounds
was
right.
a little inebriated, and I was like, I don't give a shit if I get banned. I'm gonna do this.
Nice. Good for you,
Yeah.
man.
Nice, good.
Totally.
I respect that. I respect that a
Yeah.
lot. I wish I had those balls. I do not.
I do not either.
We're not going to waste any time here. We're going to get into the major topics of the show tonight, and we're going to get into the big one. On Thursday this week, we had PlayStation Showcase 2021. We had the full Next Level Gamescast crew react to that.
That was crazy.
Vince, of course, was there. We had Tom. We had Mike. And I think it was a hell of a show. Don't forget, you guys in the listeners queue, feel free to raise your hand at any point throughout this discussion. If you would have something to say, something to ask us, we will try and find openings in the conversation to bring you on and hear you out. But I want to go like kind of in order here. I want to go as the show happened chronologically with that opening teaser. We kind of said during the live reaction that, okay, we need to like inspect this afterwards because I bet you there's a ton of Easter eggs in this thing. And it turns out there were a fair amount peppered throughout. In general, I think it was a kind of a cool little teaser. I expect a 30-second TV spot to be made out of it at some point. Just out of curiosity though, did you guys feel like it went on like too long or anything like that?
It felt a little weird. Like it felt like we should have gotten like a little bit more to the point, and then like it should have stopped, and like that should have been the thing that was at football that night, and it was just weird. I don't know.
Right. At the beginning, I was like, oh shit, here we go. We got like one of those live action PlayStation commercials. And then I was like, oh God, we only have 40 minutes in this thing. And you're already spending 3 of them on a live action commercial. What did you think, Denny?
Yeah, it went on way too long. Like way too. I mean, it was cool. Like you have to give it to PlayStation. Anytime they do it, like any kind of trailer, anything like the hype video like that, they always knock it out of the park. I mean, I just remember back to the old ones that they had where they had all the voice actors like dressed up as the characters like in the bar, and then
that was a
was
classic.
cool.
Michael,
So,
I think that one was called.
yeah, like the PlayStation knows how to do hype videos. I mean, I think it just went on went on a little bit too long because everyone was so excited for it just to get started
Yeah.
that it was
I
just
agree.
like,
And we all knew that like the time allotment that was there. And we were just counting the minutes every time there was something on screen, as we'll talk about, that we didn't want. It's like, oh God, come on, move on. We only got
yeah,
20 minutes left. We
Yeah.
only got 15 minutes left.
yeah,
But let's go through some of the things that were in there. Just gonna like rapid fire it here. Hogwarts Legacy was in there. God of War Ragnarok was of course in there. Tekken was in there. Dragon Quest, little slime was in there. Uncharted 4, Lost Legacy. Fall Guys was actually in there. Final Fantasy 16 at the train station. There was a Velistea, or however you say the world name of Final Fantasy 16.
Believe.
Yeah, so that was in the background. Also with the time 616. Some people are wondering if that might mean something, but I don't think so. The only thing it could potentially mean is a date. What does 616 fall on? Let's check it right now. We're doing it live. 616 2022 is a Thursday. Games don't release on a Thursday, right?
Ooh, though, I mean, I don't know.
movies come out. Movies come out on Thursday.
Yeah, now they do nowadays, right?
Yeah.
With they just keep getting earlier and earlier on that. I remember it was like 10 p.m. on Thursday. Now it's like 6 p.m. on Thursday.
Yeah,
Taking like the Black Friday approach.
Gone are the days of going to midnight showings because you just go to the 8 p.m. showing now.
Long are the days of, or gone are the days of me just going to the theater. Period. I wish I really want to see Shang-Chi, but the world doesn't want me to. COVID doesn't want me to. I guess I should. We had Pac-Man in there. Sly Cooper was in there, you guys. Sly Cooper. Let's stop for a second there. Sly Cooper on there. We've been talking about this a lot recently. Jersey Tom, a big proponent of this. Denny, I wonder if you're the same way. He thinks Ratchet and Clank being such a major success. Why not? The renaissance of platformers. Could Sly Cooper be as successful as Ratchet and Clank?
Yeah. I heard Tom on during the whole thing talking about it. I 110% think that like if Insomniac brought it back and did like a full-fledged like how they went ahead and did Ratchet and Clank, I think it would, I think it would be great.
That's the thing, right? Is they have to actually go for it. They can't do.
Yep.
Not that it was a bad game. Thieves in Time, solid game, right? But if they're gonna do this, they need to put the fire behind it that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart had. It needs to feel like a showpiece.
Yeah, and I mean like Astro was a platformer and that was great. Like,
oh god, yeah.
So, but like it's just like I feel like they need to bring back these old platformers and just give them like another like chance to shine.
It does feel like there's a little bit of a renaissance going on surrounding the platformer. It Takes Two, great platformer, also co-op platformer. Ratchet and Clank, obviously, and there's been a few others as well. Some indie stuff really taken off. I just feel like people are ready to jump back into that genre in a major way and have nostalgia for it, and it's something that can appeal to all audiences, and that's kind of nice in today's world where it's just so much negativity. I feel like that's what happened this past week with that Blue's Clues videos that came out where Steve like addressed the nation pretty much. And I feel like, no, seriously, I feel like why that video did so well is because we need that right now. We need, like with everything going on, we need just something nice and pleasant and for everybody. And Ratchet and Clank is that, Sly Cooper is that, Jack and Daxter is that to a certain extent, although I feel like that one kind of straddles the line a little bit more, especially as it went along in its series, and especially if they were to reboot it, I could see them taking it in a little bit of a darker direction. But yes, I do think we are ready for Sly Cooper to come back. Final Fantasy VII Remake, or Final Fantasy VII in general, was in there. The Meteor was in the background, so I mean, we know that Part 2 is coming, so it's not like that's any type of surprise. Crash Bandicoot was in there. Resident Evil 4 specifically was in there. We of course are waiting for RE4 remake. The fact that they had that in this makes me wonder if it's going to be, a tied marketing deal, or maybe even something further. Do you think there's any way that PlayStation could work together with Capcom to get timed exclusivity?
I never thought about that possibility. Oof.
It would be a pretty big megaton, I think, but
that would be huge.
They're close. Capcom and PlayStation right now, I feel like they have a great relationship.
Sorry, not to kind of cut in here. Did you guys see the sales stuff that came out from Capcom and everything like that?
I don't think so.
And this is me just remembering. It's probably a little bit off base, but I want to say between all the platform splits, it is pretty much PlayStation at 60. I think its PC is around 20, Nintendo at around 10, and Xbox like around 10. Like within the split of it. Like it is to the point to where like the PlayStation platform so overcompensates for almost all the other uh like just platforms. It's kind of crazy. It's not, this isn't a platform war or anything like that. It makes
No,
me wonder
it
where
raises an
all
interesting
those
question.
sales. Yeah.
Yeah, is it Game Pass? Like, what's going on here? I mean, we talked about it on the show one time that in the UK, PS4 and PS5, specifically PS5, crazily enough, accounted for like 80% of RE8's Village sales in the UK.
Yeah.
That's just insane to me that only 20% across Xbox One, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X could only account for 20% of sales. PS5 was 50% of sales that first week in the UK. Again, we're talking specifically UK,
Yeah.
which is kind of PlayStation territory. But still, like, is something going on with Game Pass? We keep hearing that it's not. Just this week, actually, Compulsion Games talking about Game Pass, how it's not detrimental to them as a developer. Of course, they're going to say that. They're first party
Right.
Xbox. There's no way they're not going to say that. But we keep hearing that. We keep hearing that Game Pass is great for developers. Nobody wants to say anything bad about it. But like, are there any downsides? We can't see it just yet, but it's still something in the back of my mind. Like, I wonder if there's something going on there. Helldivers was actually in there, which raises the question. Arrowhead Games, a studio that has worked together with the PlayStation very well. I think makes a great fit acquisition wise. Probably wouldn't be too
Yeah.
expensive.
Because they haven't made anything since Helldivers, and Helldivers was 2016, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
And
so
they're around 65 people in that studio.
okay, look at you go. Look at him go. He knows exactly how many people are in the studio.
It was actually just a recent topic that was on the PlayStation OT in Resetera that people were kind of talking about, and I was like,
Okay.
"Oh, interesting.
Vince
Makes sense."
just took a census over there. That's why.
Yeah, I went over there, knocked on the door, said, "Hey,
Yeah.
how many people do you have over here?"
Yeah,
That's how we do it here.
with his little clipboard.
And
Exactly.
finally, as everybody saw, the most obvious one, Aloy at the very end of the introduction
Statue.
there, the statue
Yeah.
for Horizon. So very cool. But let's get into the actual lineup of games that were shown off. They started off with a banger. And I feel like
Oh
this
my
often
God.
happens where it's bangers at the beginning, then a slow middle, as we'll get to, and then bangers at the end. And this was no exception to that. But holy shit, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic remake. And it is PlayStation 5 exclusive. I'm still not quite sure what that means. I've seen a lot of different ways of reading this, but Sony is publishing it on PS5. Aspire, I think is how you say it, is publishing it on PC. EA and BioWare have no involvement from what we can understand, but I reading the tweet, it's like, okay, it's console exclusive PS5 coming to PC. So does that mean it's console exclusive, meaning it's coming first to PS5 and then it's coming to PC? Or is it console exclusive to PS5, meaning PS5 and PC are releasing at the same time and then later on it's coming to Xbox? Denny, what do you think?
Honestly, because like everything that's like surrounds KOTOR, I think they're gonna release at the same time. Because KOTOR was such a big PC game as well that, and I don't see them not releasing it on PC at the same time as
Do
the
you not see
PlayStation.
them releasing it on Xbox?
Uh,
I mean, the beginning of the trailer literally says Sony Interactive presents. When you
Yeah.
see that, like, that to me, it just by experience implies this is a PlayStation exclusive. Now, some PlayStation exclusives do go to PC, as we know.
And
We'll talk about
honestly-
Uncharted later on, for example. But
honestly, if it was going to be going to Microsoft, I doubt that they would have put it right in the beginning like they did, like with that like whole shock of that reveal. Honestly,
yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
they do need to clear that up, right? We're going to
Mhm.
talk about Tomb Raider later on and how shadily that was handled when that exclusivity happens. I feel like they need to nip this in the bud. Maybe they thought that they already did, but the wording can be misconstrued, in my opinion, in this case. And I feel like they need to flat out say, is this coming to
Yeah,
Xbox? Is it time
think-
exclusive on PS5?
yeah, I don't think. I honestly think it's just coming to PS5. It's like
I kind of agree with you, actually.
they led their big show with this huge show with it, and like they put those words right there, and they meant for those words to be there for a reason. You know.
What do you
Yeah.
think, Vince?
No, it's definitely coming to PC same day. I 100% believe that. The stuff that I was reading while we were doing like our post show and everything like that. Sony has been involved with this project, very hands on, with it.
Yeah.
To the
Funding
point
it,
to where
to an extent.
they're
Yeah.
funding it. They have been working with Aspire on development kits and stuff like that. it's one of those things where I think if anything, it's going to be like a Forspoken type deal where it's
Like
going
2
to
years.
be an extensive exclusive.
Or 7 Remake for that matter, because I remember when 7 Remake announced its exclusivity and it said April in the box. Everybody expected that, right? Hey, it's going to
Right.
come to Xbox or PC for that matter
And it hasn't
in
yet.
April, and it hasn't even come to PC yet. Not forget
Yeah.
Xbox. Xbox might never happen at this point. And honestly, I'm surprised at that. I really thought April, whatever the date was, I was like, the next day we're going to see an announcement that it's coming to PC and Xbox, and it has not happened yet. So
Yeah.
I think Sony is really, when it comes to these big deal exclusives, this is a huge one. I mean, KOTOR is one of those games that actually is pretty synonymous with Xbox. This was
Yeah.
a steal. Like, how much did they spend? We're talking about Tomb Raider later on. It's an astronomical number in that case because Tomb Raider was synonymous with PlayStation in a lot of ways at the time, and that's what raised that number so high. So this is a similar scenario where they took this game away from Xbox. And how much did that cost Sony?
Do you remember the story? I think this was right before the next gen consoles came out. There was a story I think where it was like one of the insiders had said that Sony had reportedly spent over 350 million on deals. I think.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe that's a good chunk of it, to be honest. Because I mean,
Yeah.
we have Deathloop, we've had Ghostwire, we now have KOTOR. As partnered, third party exclusives at this point. I'm trying to think of some other ones there, and I just wonder if that might be where there's a big chunk
This
of that money.
totally reeks of something that happened either early this year or maybe even late last year when PlayStation 5 was first releasing. I very much remember Imran Khan talking on Kind of Funny about how there are exclusivity deals that Sony has in place that nobody's going to believe. And at the time, I was like,
remember that.
I bet you he's saying that because these are going to be exclusivity deals that people don't expect because they are associated with Xbox. KOTOR is associated with Xbox. This is one of them. And I do think the other one is going to be BioShock, because BioShock was for a very long time associated with Xbox. It released exclusively on Xbox for a few years, I want to say. It might have even been over a year. So I think that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Another one that comes to mind that would blow minds, but it might already be debunked. What if Mass Effect 4 or whatever the hell it's called has some type of timed exclusivity?
God,
we already have this an EA BioWare game, now exclusive to PlayStation. So who knows? PlayStation is going about this war, if you want to call it, in a very different direction. Whereas, Xbox is all studio acquisitions, PlayStation is partnerships. And it's interesting, right? The battle of the strategies there. Denny, are you a KOTOR fan? Did you play KOTOR?
I did.
I never played it.
It's a great game.
Dude,
you can't play it now.
So fantastic.
It's very dated.
Mhm.
But now just knowing that entire story, that gameplay, all that is going to be in the PlayStation 5 engine,
but that's the question, right? Do you expect it to be the same? The original was what, turn-based in some way, shape, or form? Like, is this going to be turn-based? Do you think they're just going to keep it the same?
it was more like how like WoW kind of like fighting was. Pretty much you stand around, you're basically just clicking and just what?
Kind of like Final Fantasy 12, it sounds like then to me.
Yeah, like timer. It was timer cooldown, stuff like that. Like you were kind of doing like that type of stuff.
Yeah, I honestly see them changing that.
Making it real-time action.
Something, like even if it's like some way like how they do it in like 7 Remake or something like that. I was actually
going to say 7 Remake is a good template for that, actually.
Like that would be the perfect way to do it. Like where you just get into these little fights and it just, you get the area right there. That would be perfect for that. And have that real-time fighting. It's only in like that defined area.
Yeah, I do think that if it releases with the same combat structure as the original, I think some people will be disappointed in that.
I would, and I was a fan of the original because now it's everything's so much further away from that where I can accept that kind of like mechanic for other things, again, like WoW or something like that, a MMO that's like that. But like for this, where it's supposed to be a single player RPG game, I can't accept that really anymore.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people get disappointed in that, right? Because turn-based RPGs have kind of died. They're still here and there, but I see so often when these new Final Fantasies are coming out, or Tales of Arise or whatever, and it's like, oh my god, they're all going action RPG. What happened to the turn-based RPG? But they are, I think at this point, I think they are the minority.
The Tales series was always action the whole time.
Okay.
the Tales series, that was like it started off. It used to be that it was like kind of a side scroll. You go into a battle and you can only go from like left to right and like jump around.
Mhm.
But like it wasn't like a big like open area like the Tales series does now. But
One of the remaining series is Dragon Quest, and I know
that's the
specifically
only
when it
one,
comes
and
to
they're never gonna change their way.
that's the thing though, is people are very worried about it because the director has said that this next Dragon Quest is going to redefine the series for like the next 20 years. And the first thing that comes to people's minds is, oh god, are they going to switch it to action based? So I feel for those people. I get it. In some ways I do miss turn based as well, but it's just not what the landscape wants for the most part now. And
Play Yakuza Like a Dragon.
there you go. Yeah. Still exists,
Gr-
right?
The great game. And
And
that has
now you
that
have Judgment as
turn-based.
the action-based version. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, that was a very exciting way to start the show. But this next one is really cool as well. And I didn't realize it was a game that's been around for a couple of years now, as far as a couple trailers and gameplay demonstrations. This was almost like a re-reveal of it for a lot of people. Project Eve. And when it first started, I was like, okay, this looks like kind of like a throwaway, and let's go to the next thing. And then it went on for like another 3.5 minutes. It's one of the longest trailers of the entire showcase. And by the middle half, when you get to the fucking, sorry, excuse me, when you get to the butt rock, yeah, we get to the butt rock and the tunnel, I was like, what? Oh my god, this looks freaking wild. This is actually really badass looking. Tom was going nuts. Denny, what about you? How'd you feel about it?
I'm different.
About it?
I don't care about it. I know Tom loved it because Tom's a huge Bayonetta fan, and it literally just looks like Bayonetta on PlayStation.
Yeah. Is it
And
exclusive? I actually don't even know.
From what I have done and looked up, it is now. It was announced for PS4 and Xbox back in the day.
Okay.
But this new announcement seems to indicate that it is a PS5
That's
exclusive.
what I thought. Yeah, so a re-reveal to like push it to PS5 only. It was graphically, it was pretty impressive. Lots of cool monster designs.
it looked great. It looked great. Yeah, but
gory too.
I have don't really have any interest in it too much.
Is it just like not the vibe you go for? It's very anime, right? Is that kind of
it reminds me of the Nier games, and I'm not a big fan of the Nier games.
okay?
Like at least
No,
from the combat, at least from that trailer, it reminded me of like that's what that's gonna be. Same with like Bayonetta. Like I never cared for those kinds of games. So that's the vibe I got the entire time. Again, graphically it looked phenomenal, but
Yeah, it's just not for you. That's fine.
yeah.
I made a big mistake myself watching it, and I've been called out like 8 times on our reaction on YouTube. I'm like, holy shit. Okay, sorry guys. I said, oh, hey, here you go. People that have been waiting for more Japanese games from PlayStation. There you go. And everybody's like, it's Korean, D-bag. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't understand the Korean language. It's not like I looked at the characters at the bottom of the screen and I was like, oh, that's Korean. Like, sorry, I'm a stupid white guy. And I did not understand. I do apologize for that though. But it's cool. Korean game. And what was the name of the developer?
Shift Up, I think.
Shift Up. Yeah, so it does look pretty cool. I'll be keeping an eye on that one. Afterwards, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, not for me, but I did think it was a cool trailer. I thought it was a fun trailer. I found out what baby metal is. That was cool. I thought it was a genre. Now I know it's a band. I'll have to check them out.
Great. They're great. They're ridiculous, but so good.
Yeah,
that trailer looks great. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, Tom kept saying like, I hope this isn't $60. I hope this isn't $60. How do you guys feel about that? This is like, is this not worth $60 to you?
I think it's just that because of the fact that it's so reminiscent of what was the one for 2, Dragon's Keep or whatever?
Dragon's Keep,
DLC? Yeah. That it's giving that kind of vibe, and I think at least for Tom, he's thinks it's might be a short DLC, but I mean they've been pretty much said now it's gonna be a full.
No, it's a full game, yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Like I loved 3. I hated 3's story, so I need just more.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm sorry. No, I'm just in the same boat. I did not care for Borderlands 3. So for me right now, Wonderlands is just not on my radar. But it'll be one of those I'm just keeping an eye on because it's like, we'll see.
We'll see. Forspoken came up next. It's been a little while since we'd seen Forspoken, and very curious, Danny, what you think about this one, because this is
my first time I'd ever seen anything about it.
Really?
And I am 110% buying that day it comes out. I don't.
Yeah, this is a Japanese RPG aimed at Western audiences, right?
I literally watching the trailer. I was just like, what is this? And I'm like, take my money right now. Like, it just looks so. Yeah, like you said, it looks. Because it's Square Enix, right?
It is Square Enix. Yeah, it's the same team that worked on Final Fantasy 15 in a large part.
Yeah, so it
which I
literally
know
looks
might scare you a little bit, but
no,
yeah.
because what was I saying when I was watching it? Just the gameplay reminded me of Infamous a little bit.
Okay.
Like the powers, like like the because she
You
had
know
like
what?
the
I actually
handshake.
get that. The traversal too. I could
Yeah,
Traversal
I
is a
was
understand.
like
big selling
Yeah.
watching
point
it.
for me.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like watching it. I was like, this kind of looks like like Infamous like gameplay, but like yeah, it looked great. I'm all for it.
A lot of people complaining about the dialogue, Vince.
Yeah, I, how do I say this? I get some complaints about it, but I never trust dialogue on trailers like this because you never
I
know
agree.
what's been super cut or anything like that. But a lot of it, and I don't know if you've noticed it, Drew, a lot of it's also kind of devolved into a certain other discussion about the main character and everything like that. And that's just been kind of
Oof.
one of those like, really? This is what we're doing? This is kind of what we're talking about now? Like it doesn't make any sense to me. I thought it was cool. I like what they're doing with it. I liked how it just sounded natural, even in like the
That's what they're
short little
going
bits
for,
that we
clearly,
heard.
right? And
Yeah.
I think in some ways it feels a little like the Zoomer force, like this is how like a Zoomer talks or something. But that being
It feels
said,
like you were saying, if like it's a Japanese RPG written for Western audiences, it literally
yeah.
feels like it's a Western, like a person randomly falling into a pit and ending up in a JRPG. So
Yeah.
That's what I like
of
about
It's
course,
the
kind of cool,
performance.
right? Yeah, I
yeah,
like
Yeah.
it. It's cool.
it's like something out of Disney. Like if Disney did something like that, where it's like a fish out of water kind of thing, and they're trying to learn about what's going on. Like I'm all for that. Like I
It
think that's
reminds
such
me
a
of Final
cool
Fantasy
way.
X. It's Tidus falling into Spira in this world that he doesn't understand. He comes off like a complete d-bag, or he's like this, famous sports player acting like an asshole to everybody.
Yeah.
And she's gonna be completely out of her element and learning the world and learning how magic works. And you hear in a trailer, like, oh my god, I can do magic! Like this is amazing! Like that's
Move things with my freaking mind.
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
yeah, I'd be pretty excited too if I suddenly had magical powers.
you'd have the same reaction.
Right.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
And I agree with Vince. Like this happens a lot, especially with Japanese games. And I know this is aimed at Western audiences and is trying to have more of those sensibilities when it comes to its dialogue. But when you cut a trailer and you do dialogue over action sequences that are not like the scene, it's
Yeah.
like she's like flipping around doing all this kind of stuff, and then you hear this dialogue in the background of it that is completely out of place. When you watch that scene in the game and she's
It fits.
animating and the voice is synced up, it completely changes it. 7 Remake had that problem. I remember a lot of people were complaining about several characters in 7 Remake when it came to the trailers because of the dialogue being cut over top of scenes where they weren't talking, and then they played the game and it's like, oh wait, never mind, this actually is really good. The voice acting in this game for the most part is very strong. I think that's going to be the case here as well. I do think that people are sort of overreacting right now and they just need to give it a little bit of time. And who knows, like some of these dialogue cuts might have been just for the trailer and that's
Yeah.
it. You really never know until the game comes out in spring, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh
That's
wow.
not too far away. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I'm super excited.
Now this is where we get, and we're going to move fast here because these are going to be the things that most of us don't care about. This is where a lot of people sort of dipped and I was like, oh, what's going on here? Like, get back to the good stuff. I thought that first 5 right there were all great. I'm not even in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, but I was like, okay, that was a cool trailer. I'm down. We're really firing off here, bangers and games a lot of people are going to be interested in. And then we go to Rainbow Six Extraction. And I was like, okay, I'm waiting for the reveal of it having PS5 exclusive things or timed
plus,
or yeah,
it's free to
something.
plus.
Hey, there's a beta releasing now on PlayStation. Nothing. And I was just like, why
Yeah,
was
this was
here?
this was the weird one for me because it's that right there. It didn't do anything. It was just here, and it was kind of very bizarre. And it's the same trailer they kind of showed at E3, and like the following, like it was weird. I don't know why this particularly was here, and I'm not trying to dig on the game because the team is actually working really hard at that from all accounts and everything like that. Plus, they are retooling a game that is competitive multiplayer into a Left 4 Dead type experience. It's going to be interesting what they can do with it. But it's just bizarre that it was here, and it was a decent trailer. It was like a decently long trailer. It was like what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes,
Yep.
I think.
2
So
minutes about.
trying to capitalize on that Back for Blood hype.
But even then, the Back for Blood hype imploded upon itself because of the beta. So like it's
Yeah.
even weirder now. Like this project itself, it is in the entire flow of the conference. This is the one game that I kind of always go back to and go, why was this here? It doesn't.
The next
fit.
one I think as well though. Why reveal Alan Wake a day before it's in the PlayStation Showcase. Like, that makes no sense to me. I don't get why there was a reveal with box art and images and all that, and then there's a trailer in the PlayStation Showcase. I'm excited for it. I heard it's good. Gonna be a great Shocktober game. I don't think it needed to be $30. Cool. I don't think it needed to be here. Grand Theft Auto 5. We've all seen the like-dislike ratio on YouTube
crazy.
and everywhere else. Tons of hatred. Why was it there? Ghostwire Tokyo. I don't know. I'm with you, Denny. It's like, I don't know. I don't know.
Every time they've been showing stuff for it, I'm still like, I don't know. It looks like Mirror's Edge to me with like powers. And I'm like,
which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I need more than what they've showing. And all they've been showing is like every single time is like the main character going down some kind of corridor with something spooky coming at him, and he puts his hand up and does some power, and that's all it is every single time. Like,
I do like the atmosphere. I like the city. I like the artistic direction. I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what is this trying to be. I can't figure it out.
I think once they show some kind of like full, like at least like 10-minute hands-on gameplay video, then I think it would make a lot more sense.
It probably will get a state of play. It's a PlayStation exclusive. It's going to get the same treatment as Deathloop, which we'll talk about in a moment. First, we had Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought it was a solid trailer. It definitely looks a lot better than it did. Yeah. So I think that was nice. It's got some good comedy.
I'm very excited for that. I keep forgetting that's coming out at the end of October too.
Yeah, not too far away at all. Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. Definitely not for me. That's for damn sure.
Fantastic game. Absolutely fantastic game.
Did it need to be here?
Yeah, because it's actually a huge thing for
Danny, you're allowed to say no. It's okay.
Yeah, you're allowed to say no, dude. But like, no, I think it makes sense here because of what Sony's doing. It's exclusive only to PlayStation. It's not coming to Xbox.
Okay.
So this early access period for them and everything like that. And Shark Mob is becoming one of those developers. They only have this game underneath their belt, and they're getting a lot of attention already.
Okay.
It's a great battle royale. Sorry, enough to pump on that.
No, that's fine. And then we got to the one that nobody wanted to be here. Not because it's going to be bad. We're going to get reviews on this game tomorrow, and everything I'm hearing is that it's positive. But holy crap, man, is Deathloop just beaten to death at this point? Like, how many times have I seen
And you want to talk about that, like that first intro video being too long. The fucking Deathloop video did not need to be
It was like 2.5 minutes.
Like
when they brought it up, I was like, okay, it comes out like in a few days. I get it. That needed to be like a minute. And the moment it got to like 30 seconds, I was like, this is not ending anytime soon. I can feel it. This is going to be going on for like another 2 minutes. And it did. And I was like, why? Why did we need another 2.5 minutes of Deathloop? And they're just showing the same stuff we've seen so many times at this point. Oh my God. I hope it's good. I hope it's worth it in the end, because
I think it's going to be, considering the leaked thread right now is going pretty nuts on it.
Metacritic predictions. Denny, what is Deathloop gonna get on Metacritic?
I would say 84.
That's a good prediction. What do you think, Vince?
Actually, I was gonna say that I was gonna be right at 84 because Dishonored 2 right now is sitting like a 91 from what I looked, and Prey is at an 81. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. And I think what's going to happen with Deathloop is I think there's going to be a lot of people who like what it is, like what it does, and a lot of the things that it's going to be able to do. There's some stuff that is coming out that I'm just like, holy shit, Arcane. But I have a feeling that a lot of people are also going to criticize it, and I think wrongly, for certain things of like dumb AI, this and that, and everything like that, without realizing the context of why certain design choices are set that way because of another certain design choice that happens while you're playing the game.
Speaking in code right now.
Huh?
Speaking in code right now.
Yeah, from what there was a little aspect that I learned today that I was just like, that kind of changes some of the enemy presentation, in my opinion. And I was like, okay, hold up. Like, I
think 84, 85. That was kind of what I was thinking as well. Yeah. This next game, I don't even know if it is a game, and I was like, why was this here? I don't understand what's going on. Kid Amnesia Exhibition.
It is a Radiohead experience.
Yeah, okay. Better be cool, I guess, because I don't know why we needed to have even 30 seconds of it during the PlayStation Showcase. But whatever. Especially considering
I feel like
it made people
be a VR
think.
Game.
Yeah, but especially like the way it was teased, it was like all of us were like inspecting it, like, oh my God, what is this gonna be?
I thought it was gonna be Control.
A lot of people thought Control.
Yeah.
And then Kid Amnesia pops up, and like everybody's like, what the hell is this?
And then once I saw like the thing, it was like a Radiohead experience. I was like, God, get this shit off my screen.
But the next one, I'm actually into. This is where this is where I started to bounce back for me. That was definitely a slow period. Some of those I wasn't like completely against, but it was like, oh god, let's get back to the PlayStation stuff here. Chia or Tchia, I'm not sure how to exactly say it, but a very pleasant vibe I'm getting from that game. You know, it's got the possession mechanic of Super Mario Galaxy and Wild in some ways, where you're going from animal to animal, but the animation, the art style, just the music, it all vibed with me. I feel like it's going to be one of those games that I could find myself playing in between some heavier experiences. Like, I need a break. Let's take a break.
I feel like that's going to be a PS Plus game.
That'd be cool. I'd be totally down.
I think that's what I think I'm getting the vibe from it, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't think this is going to be a full $60-$70 game experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the best way that they're going to be able to get people on board with it is if it's ends up like in like the Bug Snacks like part, you know, of basically being a PS Plus game.
Yeah, for sure. This one bothered some people. I don't understand why. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection is coming to PS5 and PC. I've seen a lot of very upset PlayStation fanboys that this series is coming to PC like 3 years later. It's like, this is what they're doing, and it's a great strategy. It's an absolutely fantastic strategy. Everybody that wanted to play this game on PlayStation, for God's sakes, it's been on the PS Plus collection when it comes to Uncharted 4 for how long now? It's everybody has played it. Everybody that is going to play it on PlayStation has played this game. Why the hell wouldn't they put it on PC at this point?
I don't get it, man.
It's just good business.
It's just ridiculous now anymore. Even the one like topic right now that I keep seeing is like, why are we paying to have 60 frame per second unlocks on our game? And I was like, do you have no idea what any of the details of this game are? And yet we're already jumping to that conclusion. Like, okay, let's do that. Let's go for it.
Even if that is the case, like I just don't care. The conversation I'm seeing mostly is like, hey, PC, what is Sony doing? Jim Ryan needs to be fired. He's the devil. Blah. Yeah, it's just like, oh my god, just get over it. Let's get to the actual show.
The actual show.
No, seriously, Jim Ryan, or no, sorry, Herman Hulse comes out and he delivers a conversation like, that was the pre-show, you guys. Now for the real shit. Like that, isn't that kind of how it came off?
It's
like
the vibe.
That was the vibe I got. Like, and it makes sense, right? Like, PlayStation Studios is like the prestige. Like, these are like the most talented developers in the industry. We are PlayStation Studios. Forget all that other stuff you just saw. Now it's time for the goods. And they didn't waste any time. No. And I love the way this was structured too, right? Insomniac Games. Same logo that we see on Spider-Man. Marvel. Red logo. Everybody immediately thought, hey, nice, Spider-Man 2. Here we go. And then a bar appears. And I gotta be honest with you, like I like, it took me about 3 seconds before I thought, oh my god, are they doing Wolverine? You guys can see, like, if you watch my reaction, I get like this close to the camera and my eyes are wide as shit, and I am like, I cannot say the words because I'm gonna look like a complete dumb shit if this is not the case. But like well, you said Deadpool, but hey, Deadpool is sort of a part of that universe.
Choice. Yeah,
Deadpool's right?
A good choice.
But I mean, especially when you see the arm and like the hairy arms, right? Like, it's like
once that you're
in. Like, what a great little teaser, right? It just ending on the claws coming out. I want to talk about this for a little while, though. Let's get into some details, some minor details. Brian Horton is the creative director, creative lead. This is the same team that worked on Miles Morales. So they're early on. This is going to come after Spider-Man 2, which was, we'll talk about, announced for 2023. Walt Williams, who wrote Spec Ops: The Line, is writing the story for this. Oof. And Brian Horton, the creative director, once again, he came out on Twitter and said that this is a full-length game. A lot of people are like, oh, is this Miles Morales? He said, no, this is a full-length game. Not that Miles Morales wasn't, but we're just saying, like, this is a full $70 experience, right? And he said, quote, mature tone.
Which it has to be for Wolverine.
That's what I want to talk about with you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Does this game need to be mature?
Yes.
Tell me why, Denny.
Yeah.
That's Wolverine. His character is always, he's rough and rough and on the edges on everything, and he's just was always the best part of the X-Men because of the fact that he wasn't like a goody two-shoes like everybody else. He just was like some like alcoholic dude who ended up with these powers and all this stuff and pretty much needed a job.
You think we're dropped like into the middle of his life? Do we get his origin? Like,
it's where it's going towards, definitely, yeah. That's what
You
it
think
looks
we get
like.
his origin, or you think we're just dropped into the middle of his life?
I think we're just gonna be. I think it's gonna get dropped in the middle, and I think we're gonna get like flashbacks.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
They said it's a very emotional experience, right? That's
because
the word that came out.
he had the claws that, but they weren't bones, so it was obviously after he got all the
Yeah,
stuff. So
obvious. Yeah, definitely after Weapon X. What do you think, Vince? With them coming out and saying that this is going to be an emotional, I think they might even said like uh, what was the word? I want to say like, oh, man, can you
I can't remember.
remember?
I can't remember what it said either, but I know what you're talking about.
Tense or something
E-
like that experience. It doesn't feel like this is going to be
It's
Spider-Man.
not.
This is
It's
not going
not
to
a
be structured
Spider-Man.
like that. It's a
It's not a
different.
teen. It's not a journey like that. I feel like this is very much because I've been talking to Rick about it a lot of stuff because we've been microanalyzing some things. Um, I feel like this is Insomniac's tackling of a Last of Us type
Yeah.
project, and that's the vibe I get. If you look at the video, like you see the detail on some of what's going on in the bar. I mean, the one part of the bar is completely covered in blood.
Yeah.
It's brutal. And some of the stuff that some of the Easter eggs have been pulled through is it looks like it's going to be set in the 70s, possibly.
Yep.
It's Madripoor as
Alberta,
where,
Canada, right?
yeah, there might be Madripoor as well. Um, and like I was talking about a little bit on Discord, I just have a very distinct feeling for whatever reason that we're getting a very God of War style camera
Yeah.
with this
Real
game, and I just
close, real like
it's
in
going to be visceral. It is going
and
right.
it
to
You're
be
in
also
it.
tough.
that
Yeah,
that that plays to his physique too.
yeah.
Because
Because
like you
it's that,
think about it, you get
He's a
that
brick
big.
shithouse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get
yeah.
that big, especially with Kratos and God of War. You get that big lumbering like god like when you're behind that camera, like the camera with that like
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Spartan Rage is basically Berserk mode. Like,
Yeah.
like he's gonna do the same thing where he's gonna charge, and you're gonna be right behind him, and you're gonna be over that shoulder, and you're gonna feel that power that he has as he charges into the enemy. And I agree. Like, how do you have knives for weapons, and you're slicing humans up potentially, and it's not just blood everywhere, right? And on top of that, his
Right.
healing factor, his regeneration. There's so much potential for that, especially in today's visual fidelity. Just imagine him being torn to pieces, seeing his skeletal structure, like, and it healing in real time. They could do amazing things like that if they're not willing to hold back. If Disney
Yeah.
gives them the go ahead, Marvel gives them the go ahead. Which, by the way, Marvel went to PlayStation, went to Insomniac, and said, "We want you guys to make Wolverine." Like, this was them
does
coming to PlayStation about this. So yeah, give them the reins, let them do something really cool.
does Disney hold the video game rights for the Marvel games?
Yep. They all
They
own
do.
it now.
Okay.
Do
Yes.
they? Okay.
Yeah. So like that's the thing now. It's no longer the split issue that was happening like with Spider-Man, where like the Spider-Man game rights were like with Activision and like there was some Marvel issues. There's probably some like licensing that's for some other properties that'll be tying in here, but like no. So with Marvel games going out and doing this is like what Drew just said. They went to Sony first. Sony went to Insomniac, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you're on Marvel and you're seeing what this development team does with one of your most beloved characters, Spider-Man, and the story behind that, everyone can kind of, go, the gameplay, whatever. But you talk about the actual story of Spider-Man, that was a massive, insane step up in comparison to any other Spider-Man game that we truly ever got. I mean, think about the Peter and Octavius' relationship there. I mean, it's fantastic. And
Yeah, it is.
I just I just feel like, yeah, if they're gonna let this happen, I think Marvel's gonna kind of step out of the way here a little bit. They're gonna let Insomniac do their thing, and they can't do a teen rated Wolverine game. If they're gonna do a teen rated Wolverine game, I think it'd be more for like a team up type style thing, which that would make
Yeah.
more sense for Wolverine to be like kind of more held back a little bit.
But this is a personal story.
Like when you say stuff like tense, emotional, it's Wolverine. Dude was experimented on.
He's been through some shit. Yeah.
He's been through shit. I mean, plus look how successful Logan was, the movie itself. Like
Hmm.
And
that
Deadpool.
has I mean Deadpool as well, but I mean, think about what Logan did for the Wolverine character in cinema too. I mean, it brought back it actually didn't bring back, but it gave that entire like, no, this character isn't just, goofy, whatever, this or that. It is this dude is screwed up. Like, a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And
He's
it's
a
Plus,
just
tragic character. Yeah.
they have the
right.
team up stuff with he's in Midnight Suns, so
Hmm.
they can
Yeah.
full on be completely okay with letting Insomniac do a rated M game because Wolverine's still going to be represented in like other like games that are accessible for younger kids, I guess, to
Yeah.
play it.
I expect it to be linear, but there are opportunities for them to do some open world stuff. I mean, he does ride a motorcycle very often.
I was
That's
going to
one
bring
thing,
that up.
and just make it the wilderness instead of a city. I've seen some people say that how cool would it be if you're using him as a hunter and a tracker, like he really is, right? He's got the
Days
sense.
Gone.
Right, you could do Days
Yeah,
Gone.
Days Gone
You
with
could
it.
have him hunting and tracking in the wilderness, riding his motorcycle. You could do that. I hope that it is Last of Us style, linear, guiding him through a very carefully, delicately finessed experience and story with
I can
great
see
writing, great
like
acting.
like how they
It,
did it in the Tomb Raider games recently.
Yeah,
it's
kind of right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big open world proponent. I think you guys know this very much. But in all
Hmm.
honesty, I think for Wolverine's first debut after a very long time in a solo game, I think I want a very linear, very tight experience. Unless you're
Yeah.
really designing, unless like you design the entire game around the hunter tracker design philosophy, which I can see that working as an open world game. I can see that with the motorcycle and having a traversal and scouting and going to like this stuff. I could see all that stuff playing like a Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain type
Right.
vibe with it. It's just I don't know if I quite want that. I just want like what God of War is essentially. I want those linear areas to where there might be a central hub town that you might be able to go into and do something like that later. But as you're going through and progressing like that, it's much more like that. I think God of War is the template of what we should be expecting from this game, and I'm kind of hoping it's more that style of game.
I agree, 100%.
Hmm.
Let's move on. This one we'll talk quickly because I don't think it's our genre or series,
It's
but
not our
Gran
wheelhouse.
Turismo 7 showing off. A lot of customization showing off there. When I watched it back in 4K, it does look really nice. There's
It's
a lot of
really
nice detail
sharp.
in there. Really sharp looking game. Some of those scenes, man, when they're pulled out, I'm just like, that just looks real.
Yeah.
Like really,
Anytime it's night or
legitimately.
it's like night or like that like dusk, I'm like, is that real? That's just real
Yeah.
footage, right?
It's a
They
big
just
It's a big franchise, and I think a lot of people were disappointed that it was in the showcase, but they don't realize that this is a 10 million plus seller
it's
pretty much
huge in
every
Europe.
single time. It's huge in Europe. A lot of people are excited about this. A lot of people have been waiting a long time to hear more about this, so you have to give it to them, and they did. But two things that we care more about, just unbelievable that it comes back to this again. But I think it was really smart the way they did it because they didn't have Insomniac. They didn't have Marvel. It just goes into this city, escape. We're down on the streets, steam coming out of the sewer grate and all, and suddenly electricity hits the pole.
My God, we all
Am I the only one that thought?
We all
Okay,
freaked.
Infamous, right? Did everybody agree?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everybody thought Infamous.
I was hoping.
Yeah.
Infamous, honestly. But
Yeah, I kind of was too, but like knowing now what it was, it's like, okay, never mind. That's cool too. Yeah, but I think a lot of people thought Infamous, and I don't think that was their intention because that's not what you want to do. You don't want to make a whole bunch of people excited for a series to come back, be like, oh my God, here it is, and then it's not. So I don't think that was their intention, but that's what happened. A lot of people thought it was Infamous. Guy throws in the pole. Suddenly, we very quickly get to the shot of the Spider-Man suit, and it's like, holy crap! They just announced Wolverine. So I'm waiting for the entire trailer for Insomniac not to show up as a developer because it didn't start the trailer, right? So I was like, oh my God, did they pass Spider-Man off to somebody else? Then you get the title card in the bottom right. It says Insomniac. And I'm like, what is going on right now in 2023? How is this even possible? How are they doing this?
You know what's even crazier for me is that video is in engine apparently what
you can tell. Look at the Steam. The Steam is actually really low frame rate.
And actually the thing I was going to say is if you look at some of the shots with Miles and everything like that, you can instantly tell that's a gameplay cut.
Yeah. And
I
honestly,
like,
I think the game's going to look even better than that
Yeah.
when it comes out. I really do.
But like, oh my God, just talk about like, I was just like, this is insanity. And then the reveal of Venom, I was just like,
kind of two reveals, right? Because it's very obvious that Craven is the one talking. It's got to be, right? It's got to be Craven.
Yeah.
So then it's like, it kind of gets the vibe that, okay, Craven is asking for help from Venom. It seems like they're going to team up against us, or Is it possible that Venom turns out to be on Spider-Man's side?
I actually think it's that option because the logo itself is just the black logo. It's not
Well, maybe
anything
that's
else
because
fancy.
we see Venom, but that doesn't mean that Peter doesn't also get the symbiote or symbiote.
The other thing
however you
too
wanna
is
say it.
if you listen to Craven's line, he's like, I was always looking for one to like challenge me, one to
Mhm.
scare me, and then one to actually finally beat me. So it's three. He marks in three, and like when he asks the question, Venom answers back, "Yes, we will." And it's like, so I think the vibe there is it's going to be Venom is the third playable thing, the third playable character in that game somehow. And I just
That
that's
would be
gonna be
amazing. Imagine
that's gonna be
playing as
so
Venom.
bonkers.
I think Venom's Harry, but
He seems that way based on
Yeah.
the post credits, right?
yeah, which
Um,
would explain why he might be going along with Spider-Man if there's any kind of way that he
yeah.
finds out
You
that it's
like find
Peter.
the good in him, and it
Yeah.
comes back out again, kind of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of potential there. And team up maneuvers, right? This
Oh
is
my
confirmed to
God.
be a single player
Single
game.
player experience. Yeah.
But that does, based on the trailer, we are going to have team up stuff. You're going to be working together with Miles. A lot of great potential there.
Or if they do
Uh,
something like Grand Theft Auto, like drop in,
yeah, switching back and forth between them would
just
be also amazing.
switch over, and all of a sudden you're like your Miles like while he's mid swinging through the city or something like that.
That would be so cool, man. There's, God, there's so many things they could do with this. 2023 is a great, schedule for them to get this out and be something spectacular, considering that Spider-Man 1 from that main team came out in 2018. We're talking about like a 4 or 5 year development cycle for this. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. It's going to be a major game. And I think it was smart of them to reveal both Wolverine and Spider-Man at this time. I know a lot of people are like, why are they revealing games so early? But you have to remember that if this did not get announced at the showcase, there is no way they went more than a year without Wolverine getting leaked. There's no way.
Yeah.
They wanted to control the message, they wanted to control the announcement, and they deserve to. Like it's clear that this game is far away. Like we all know that. We all know
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 is going to come first, which means that Wolverine's probably 2024. But does that bother any of you? Like, I don't care.
No,
I'm just
no.
excited to know that Insomniac is working on Wolverine. That's all I need to know. I don't care
Yeah.
how far away it is.
And it was just like you were saying before about how they like when they had Spider-Man, they didn't show the logo. It's just like it was just cool how they just bookended it, like how they just did Wolverine, and then obviously got Gran Turismo in the middle, but then Spider-Man
Yeah.
ended with the logos. I
It
thought that
felt
was
very
great.
intentional.
Yeah,
It felt like it was planned out.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Wolverine thing is literally like, maybe they like the last 6 months they finally got this all situated.
Yeah, you might be right. It's very early. Very, very
Yeah,
early.
because like how in the absolute hell did this not get leaked? Like
I have a feeling this is what that Andy Robinson was talking about. I
Yeah.
have to imagine. He said that there is going to be an announcement that he thinks is going to leak this week. And then like the day before, or actually hours
I remember
before,
that.
he
Yeah.
said, wow, it didn't leak. I'm
Yeah.
surprised. It had to be this. Because this, I agree, like this is the thing that leaks. This is the thing that is so disappointing that they couldn't hold it off until the actual showcase, and somehow they did. I think Jim Ryan is crazier than anybody that's ever come before when it comes to like Sony ninjas and shit. That guy is, I think, scary when it comes to like threats and shit. Like, no, I'm like blackballing and shit like that. That guy, he probably is like, anybody that talks about this fucking thing, you are done. You're never getting a review copy again. Like, you're not invited to PlayStation Experience. If it happens again, like, you're out. You're done.
I think he actually has that reputation.
Yeah,
somewhat.
I can imagine it. I just have that feeling about him that he is like old school business. Like
He is.
you're done.
Extremely
You're out.
old school business.
Yeah.
That's why he made Europe or the UK or that entire region. That's why the stronghold is what it is. People don't give
Yeah.
Jim. I mean, it's a lot of other people's credits too, but like Jim was part of that core team that made Europe and the UK the PlayStation stronghold back in the day.
Him and Herman Hulst, I feel like, are a great duo. I feel like Herman, it really is like very different from him in a lot of ways, but they're both clearly favoring Europe right now. I mean, look at like who they're acquiring. For example, if Arrowhead is another one, that's another European. They're clearly building up European studios. I think 7 of them now. Almost half of PlayStation Studios is European based. And a lot of it came right after Herman Hulst and Jim Ryan took the reins. It's no coincidence to me. Like, these guys are building up that region, and I just feel like they work really well together. I think Herman, kind of coming in at the middle, Jim Ryan starting it. It's like these are the two guys. Like I feel like they're starting to have a little bit of like a personality to them for me, where it took a little while for it to happen, but I'm starting to feel that where it's like, hey, like Shuhei Yoshida or Jack Tretton, whereas like or Kazurai, or it's like we like these people for some reason, like these businessmen. Why do we
these
care?
businessmen.
Yeah, why do we care about these people? But you start to. I feel like I'm starting to form a relationship with these guys, and it's starting to like seeing their faces and all. Jim Ryan looks like he could pull off a Gordon Ramsay style shout fest. I would love to see that guy behind closed doors. I just have a feeling he's a hard ass probably. But let's get to the closer. This is going to turn out to fill the entirety of Next Level Direct tonight, and I'm not surprised. Let's close off with the bookend, God of War Ragnarok. But let me ask you guys first. We all knew God of War Ragnarok was going to be here. I was like 99.9% sure it was going to be here. But what did you guys expect was going to be the scope of this reveal for the showcase? Denny, start with you.
I mean, I was expecting and hoping for, gameplay. I got that. I felt like there was one shot of them showing off like the new area, and then obviously like going into that town, which wasn't in it.
Oh,
But I
that
felt
was
like a
beautiful.
lot of it was them. They did a lot of just showing off of the last game's map, just with the snow from like Ragnarok on it, and I feel
Yeah,
like they're
frozen
holding.
over.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like they're holding back a lot more for another reveal to show off
I
something
mean, I think you're
crazy.
probably right. I think one of the biggest indicators of that is that they showed Tyr in the
Yeah.
trailer. Like, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Like, the entire trailer seems to be about, we need to find Tyr. Like, is he still alive? And you find out by the end of the trailer that he's still alive, and they found him. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, what comes next? Like, they showed a big moment there, and it makes you wonder how much more is there to this game. David Jaffe, who does actually have a lot of good connections still with Sony Santa Monica, and they do keep him in the know with Twisted Metal and God of War out of sort of respect for his his part in the origins of that. He said that this game is much larger than the first. Like the story alone is going to be about 40 hours, he said. So this is a huge ass game. But going to you, Vince, like, what did you expect? Were you expecting a full gameplay blowout? Were you expecting a trailer like we got, or maybe something smaller? What were you
The
expecting?
trailer that we got is what I was pretty much expecting. The way we got the title card teaser and then into that, and for me, it was more like if they didn't start off with that. If they would have started off with God of War, we would have gotten a deeper dive into everything. Like we would have had like a more slower build up, like what they did
Yeah.
for the initial reveal for the original 2018 release. But no, I loved the trailer that we got from this, and it was really cool. And it was kind of cool because it's like you can kind of tell like where like your first like few hours of the game are going to be, and that's just what even makes it even more exciting. It's just like this already looks so amazing. It's like that's only going to be like the first few hours. I just need to have something very close to the strangers fight somehow in this
Yeah,
game.
I mean, I think it might be Thor. We'll have to wait and see. But the vibe I get from the beginning is that Kratos is kind of in hiding in a way. He's like, I'm done. I'm out. Like I don't want to have any part in this. And ironically, it's his son that kind of pushes him back into it. And I think it's going to be tragic in the end, based on some foreshadowing and all that. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I agree. I think like it's going to start slow, and then it's going to have a stranger type moment, which kind of is the what do you want to call it? I'm trying to think of what it's called in story structure, not the impetus or the rising action. I can't remember what they call it, but that's like what's going to be. It's going to be what throws you back into this world. But I loved what I saw with the Lake of Nine being frozen over, them using the sled and the wolves, and you can even see Jorgenmonder, however you say his name, the world serpent, like frozen in the background. Like it's so cool. The scope is so epic, and I do think they're only really scratching the surface of what we're going to see with this one. And visually, I mean, I will admit, like I think a lot of people when they first saw it was like, this doesn't look too much different than God of War 2018. But then you go back and you watch God of War 2018, and then you watch this trailer in 4K, and it's like, oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, this looks a lot better.
Visual density is what you see, and that's the thing. That is the whatever you want to call it. That is the cost / whatever other term for it, of it also coming out on PlayStation 4. This is cross-gen, and that's the thing. It's just going to be, you're not going to get overly insane improvements, but you're going to have visual density improvements, and that's what God of War Ragnarok
that's
does.
the thing, is God of War 2018, Last of Us Part 2, those still, in my opinion, are better looking than a lot of games coming out now on next generation hardware. And or cross-gen or whatever, the PS5 version, the Xbox Series X version. A lot of it has to do with just the visual fidelity, as far as like the care that was taken and the details and the density and all that. It's just, and that's something that PlayStation Studios is all about, right? They just, whether it be because of crunch or whatnot. But their games are just to another level when it comes to detail. And God of War is that way. Last of Us is that way. And I think we're going to see that 100% with this one, even if it doesn't look technically as impressive as something that's truly next gen. I think the artistic direction and just the care taken is going to show through all of that.
Right. And there's only so much you can do if you're still going to keep that one take methodology, you know? We
Yeah.
don't know if they're still doing it. I would assume they're going to. It's a very distinct style for that game. And again, you know, the PS4, it's a good console, but at the same time, you know, you can only kind of design the game for both systems around the more weaker end of right there. And I think if we're getting something like that out of the PS4, I think that should be applauded in a way.
Yeah.
You know, that's insanity. You know, these are netbook CPUs in those old systems, and it's crazy what those teams were able to squeeze out of them.
Now that we have a few days since the showcase, what is our lasting impression on it as far as a score goes? Let's go with like a school grade type system, you know, B minus, B plus type thing. Denny, how do you feel about it overall now, a few days later, looking back on it?
I would probably give like an A minus.
Very nice. Yeah, that's a solid
Uh,
score.
you know, the from all the reveals of, Wolverine, Spider-Man 2, KOTOR, all obviously very strong. The gameplay for God of War looked great. The very weak middle takes away. Again,
Yeah.
as we said, Deathloop didn't need another 2.5 minute video, especially when it was coming out so soon. We've already seen so much of it. So
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think for me, I'm actually able to look back on it and not let the middle weak portion affect my score. But I will admit, I am disappointed a few things didn't show up in any way. I do feel like what the hell is going on with Blue Point? What's going on with that acquisition?
Yeah.
It's not their fault, you know, necessarily that it wasn't there. But I will admit, like, I'm just like very disappointed that it wasn't there, and that we don't have a new announcement from them. You know,
how are they not like? How is Housemark put in for before Blue Point?
I thought Housemark would be first because I feel like Housemark needs it more than Bluepoint
Yeah.
does. And I
Housemarque
said that
needs
on the show when
saved.
I made my prediction. But yeah, Bluepoint doesn't need to be acquired. I just feel like it makes sense. I feel like they work really well together and they have like a plan. I feel like they have a plan on what they want to do. And there's a lot of great legacy product within PlayStation that is ripe for remakes. And that's just their bread and butter. And I think
They
that's
killed
kind of
it.
that's what they like to do. I think that's
Yeah,
what they want to do, honestly.
they killed it on Demon Souls. So
Absolutely, and they killed it on Shadow of the Colossus. Those are both above 90 on Metacritic.
yeah,
They are an amazing studio with a ton of talent, and I think that PlayStation wants them. And it makes me wonder what's going on. And are they just still in negotiations, and they thought it would be done by now, and they just couldn't get it ironed out? I still think it's in the works. I was a little disappointed that there was nothing about that there. I was very disappointed that there was no PlayStation Plus, Diamond, Platinum, no at all response. I feel like this would have been a great moment at the very end to have Jim Ryan come back on and give 2 minutes, just 2 minutes to say something about where the service is going and how they plan on combating Game Pass. Not to say that they need to combat Game Pass, because as of right now, I still don't think they need to. They're doing just fine. But I think that they do need to be a little wary, and I think that it would be smart for them to try and stay ahead of things in the same way they're doing on PSVR and keeping their toes in that space and being mindful of where things are going in the future. I think they would be very foolish to not be looking at Game Pass and wondering like where the gaming landscape is going. So little disappointed that the diamond structure of the conference didn't have any real meaning that mattered. So I would probably give it a B plus. I thought the highs were unbelievably high. And I'm very, very, very happy with how it all turned out. And I feel like they're holding back a lot still, which is very exciting. I feel like we might have some good stuff at the Game Awards, for example, because I feel like they're still holding a lot back, crazily
give me
enough.
that Bloodborne remake.
Yeah, man.
Give me that Bloodborne remake.
What's Nixus working on? What about you, Vince?
I'm gonna be with you pretty much. It's gonna be a B plus for me. It's when I was kind of breaking it down again on my end. It's honestly I had the same sort of feelings that I did as I did the Microsoft E3 conference in a way. Whereas like there was games I was instantly I was instantly going, yes, I want this, and there's other games where I was like, nah, I don't care. And they both suffer a little bit from not a lot of dates for things, and we're kind of left in limbo for a few things. And what I mean by that is like,
Yeah.
I know we're getting Tiny Wonderlands like in March. We're getting Deathloop here next week. We're getting Gran
Gran
Turismo
Turismo,
in
March.
March. We're getting Marvel Spider-Man in somewhere in 2023. We don't have a date for Ragnarok. We don't have a date for Masquerade the Blood Hunt. We know Guardians of the Galaxy is coming in October. Tokyo has no date. Grand Theft Auto 5 has a March release date for the remaster. Alan Wake's in October. Extraction's in January. Forspoken, we don't have anything. That's the weird thing. Like all the big
Spring
games,
for Forspoken.
right? But at the same time, it's just a thing. It's like, and for me, it was just one of those like, I get that the pandemic has caused issues with scheduling. I know you have a bunch of third-party developers that you're also working with. You have marketing deals out, all over the place. It feels like we're like still kind of in limbo on a few things. Like, we're not getting Horizon until February. Deathloop is the holiday game. And so like it's going to be like so from October all the way into February for the most part. We're not going to have any PlayStation stuff. And that was kind of like the weird thing there too. I thought there would have been at least one other project that would have came out somewhere in the holiday. And it's weird to me.
And the other thing too is new IP. I do think we need to start seeing some new IP from PlayStation soon, and I think we will. I think it's just that the studios that they're showing off right now are not the ones that are doing new IP. We know that Bend is doing a new IP.
Yeah.
For example, we know that Sony Santa Monica is doing a new IP. It was actually confirmed that Cory Barlog is
doing it.
not working on God of War as a director. So that in response actually confirms that he's working on another project, and the rumors heavily are that it's a new IP. So there's plenty of new IPs coming, I'm sure. It's just that we just haven't gotten there yet, and that's totally fine. I'm going to give the audience 5 more minutes here to call in while we do a little bit of a rapid fire of some other side stories here. So don't forget, guys, if you want to raise your hand, talk about PlayStation Showcase or anything else that we're about to rapid fire at you, now is your opportunity. First up, cross-buy. PlayStation had a big snafu with Horizon Forbidden West not having an upgrade path for PS4 to PS5. There was literally nothing. If you got the standard edition, you are screwed. And you can't get the PS5 version unless you buy it. Again, they backtracked on that so far, actually, as to go all the way back to it just being free to everybody like that gets Horizon. So you actually have no reason to buy Horizon Forbidden West on PS5 now. You should just get it on PS4 for $60 and then get a free upgrade to PS5. So they kind of went all the way with it, and the reason for that is that they actually promised launch window titles would have that structure, and Forbidden West was originally supposed to be launch window. It no longer is, but they said we're going to honor the original plan there. That being said, I think it's actually very good that they outlined the structure moving forward, and that is that God of War, Gran Turismo, and any other first-party PlayStation title that is cross-generational, it will be $10 upgrade fee from PS4 to PS5. Which makes sense because the $60
difference.
Yes, the exact difference between a $60 PS4 version and a $70 PS5 version. So personally, I'm totally okay with that. I know a lot of people would love for them to take the Xbox approach of smart delivery, and just have it be free to everybody. I get it. I totally get it. But I'm just happy that they are planning on being consistent moving forward, and they have it out there. They said Horizon Forbidden West is the last one. We have that to look forward to, but after that, it's back to Sony, being PlayStation, I guess. Does it bother you guys at all?
I think what bothered me was the inconsistency behind it.
Yeah.
And what it was, especially with Jason coming out saying that, Forbidden West was supposed to be like the first quarter of this year. Like it was ready for that. And it's just something that with everything that happened, they just pushed everything down along. Other issues probably came up. But it was then like, Ghost of Tsushima required technically like $30 to upgrade to the PS5 version if you wanted to get that one. Whereas Death Stranding's only $10. And then like Horizon had none. There was just no foundation. There was no set standard. And, it was weird. I just didn't care for that. And I just did not care for the backtrack on Horizon. Anything else I kind of didn't care about. It was Horizon specifically that I was like, wait a minute. You guys promised this, Jim. You said that in a statement,
Yeah.
So it was just frustrating.
Yeah, at least they backtracked. It's good that they did that, and they did it quickly. So it's kind of reminiscent of Microsoft with the Xbox Live
Live increase,
increase, and then they very quickly backtracked on that after some real heavy hatred online. And finally, this kind of blew my mind. Rise of the Tomb Raider, the exclusivity deal for it to have 1 year, just 1 year, on Xbox One, console exclusive. According to a LinkedIn profile, it's been revealed that it cost Microsoft $100 million for that 1 year timed exclusivity. Denny, was it worth it?
Not in the absolute slightest. Of all the games that they could have picked, they picked Rise of the Tomb Raider to throw this kind of money at and say that we want the first year exclusive with this. Like, I don't just
I think they were so afraid of Uncharted at that time. You know,
Uncharted was the force.
they were like, we need an Uncharted. We don't have Indiana Jones in development from who are they again?
Machine Games.
Machine Games. At that time, so that was their solution. And as we talked about earlier, you know, it has to do with the association, right? Tomb Raider has always been strongly associated with PlayStation, and most of the people that bought Tomb Raider 2013 bought it on PlayStation. So for Square Enix to make that deal, they probably said, hey, we're going to lose X amount of units in the first year on PlayStation, and we might never get those back. You are going to pay for every single one of those for the 70% or 30%, I should say, that we are supposed to receive. Or yeah, right? Am I getting that right? Yeah, 30%. They if you do the math, it kind of makes sense to a certain extent. Like if you multiply the multiple million times you know, $60 times a percentage, it comes out to be about $100 million. I think the other side of this is, did it hurt Square Enix? Did it hurt Tomb Raider?
Well, I don't think it hurts Square. I think they made out like bandits. I do think we'd had a discussion on Discord about it, Drew, but I do think it, maybe not long term, but short term and definitely midterm, it definitely hurt the IP.
Yeah, I think Shadow was definitely, we continued that decline, right? Tomb Raider 2013 was the best, and then it went down with Rise of the Tomb Raider a little bit, and then it went down even further with Shadow. So it continued this decline. And was that because of people losing interest because they didn't, like, I can tell you, I'm a perfect example of this anecdotally. I did not buy Rise of the Tomb Raider because it did not come out on PlayStation. A year later, it came to PlayStation, and by that point, I was like, I don't know. I got other things to play. I've kind of moved on. I like Tomb Raider 2013 a whole lot, but yeah, I've moved on. So I still, to this day, even with it being free in some ways, I think on PlayStation Plus, or I can't remember.
Yeah,
I still have not played either Rise or Shadow, and I'm sure they're fine games, but I feel like I missed the boat and it's gone. So
well,
I'm an
Shadow,
example of that.
Yeah, sorry, not to interrupt you there, but Shadow actually is a decent game wrapped up in a pretty much a character assassination story.
Right, I've heard that. Yeah.
And that's the rough part about it is it's one of those things, like if you kind of go back and like you watch from 2013 up to what they did with it, it was like, wow, you had something there, and then you just like, it somehow just got lost. There was things they did in Rise that was really great, and then there was things they did in Shadow that were pretty good. It was just Lara at the end of it was just kind of like,
this isn't even Lara anymore. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where it hurts it. And I think if they do bring it back, I think they need to bring it back, and it almost needs to not be violent almost. Like, I think you could still have those moments, but I think it needs to be much more almost kind of like a Breath of the Wild type experience, where maybe it's not completely fully open world that way, but it needs to be very intricate puzzles in some sort of big relic. You know, do you kind of understand like what I'm trying to put down? Like, it needs something like that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And I do think they're going to try and mix it up a little bit after what this is like a trilogy, right? And personally, I think that Tomb Raider is just fine. I one of the things I pointed out is that when it comes to the franchise, it was never a big seller. Even like the original 3, which went on to be ported to a million different things, and those got up to like 6-7 million units. But Tomb Raider 2013 was like 10+ million sold. It was the first time that Tomb Raider ever became a blockbuster franchise. Rise went down to like 7 million. Shadow went down to like 5 or 6. But yeah, it's still kind of in the best shape it's ever been after a long time of being a series across multiple consoles that only sold 1 to 2 million units. So the series is in better shape than really it's ever been if you kind of take the trilogy as a whole. And I think they're going to capitalize on that, and it's not going anywhere. I think we will have another Tomb Raider in the next several years myself. They'll start again, and I think they'll try and mix it up a little bit and try and bring back excitement to the franchise. But yeah, this whole thing with the 100 million is just kind of wild. And also it just reminds me of how shady that all was at the time, with them trying to dodge all the questions and not saying 100%, for sure if it was console exclusive or timed exclusive. It was just a completely different Xbox at the time, right? It was a Don Matrick Xbox division, and oh man, they've come such a long way since then.
Such a long way.
It's unbelievable. It feels like a completely different company when at least in the gaming division now at this point. All right, we did not get any hands raised from the audience on this episode. It almost makes me wonder if maybe next time we try doing this on Twitch as well. Try and get some people from Twitch to jump on Discord. Maybe we try and get some people to raise some hands that have never been a part of our community. Feel like they're a part of the excitement, like, oh my god, I'm on Twitch, look at me, guys. Maybe maybe that's what we capitalize on the next one, so we can try and get a few more people in here. But a great conversation, and a big thank you especially to Jersey representative Denny coming in, filling in for the betrayer.
Betrayer.
Jersey Tom. Hope he's having a good time at his sports ball event. Seriously though, Denny, thanks for filling in tonight, and it was good having you on.
Man.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I love coming on.
Yeah, and Vince, of course, I think he's doing a stream tomorrow night actually for Deathloop.
I think so. I think the chat has spoken, so I think I'll be doing a midnight stream of Deathloop. Considering again some of the stuff that I've been hearing and seeing in that thread, man. Ooh. There's going to be some crazy stuff, I feel.
Yeah. And of course, I will be going live in just a moment. I'll be playing some more Mass Effect 2 live on twitch.tv/levelupshow. Typically, I'm on every Wednesday and Sunday. These second Sundays, I go live a little bit late because of Next Level Direct, but this is a good time. We have good conversation. This will go up on our YouTube at youtube.com/levelupnetwork. So check that out there. If you're watching this there, hit that subscribe button. Check us out on Twitch as well. Get on Discord. Do all the things. And check us out on Apple Podcast. Check us out on Spotify, where we will upload the audio version of this. So thank you to everybody, the 5-6 people that came in on Discord and enjoyed the show tonight. Appreciate you. I know that it can be a little hard to jump in, but don't forget, like, you don't have to raise your hand at a specific moment and expect us to answer you immediately. You could just raise your hand at any moment, and we'll get to you, and then it's okay if it's like, hey, we talked about this 5 minutes ago. That's fine. Come in to the conversation. We'll bounce back to you, and we'll fill in a question, or if it's something we already discussed, maybe you say, oh, you already answered it. It's all good. I'm good now. You can also lower your hand. Don't forget to. You can raise your hand and then lower your hand. So raise your hand. It's like, oh, they already answered it. Lower your hand. So let's keep that in mind. Hopefully, rules. If you guys are here next month, maybe we do this on Twitch. Maybe we can try a little harder to get some people to jump on the show and not feel so shy. But we do appreciate you guys being here on Discord and being a part of the show. We will see you next month. I think it is October 10th for episode 3 of Next Level Direct. We will see you then. Until next time, take care. And as always, don't forget to level up, everybody.
Level up.